Hey guys, welcome to another local feature live match replay. This time this is the round 2 of the tournament last Saturday, and the Mushoku player from round 1 has moved on to the finals, facing off against a 7 Deadly Sins player on the right. So very excited to see, I guess, the final round of our pretty small tournament. We only had 4 people, so it's a very simple 2-round Swiss tournament. Hopefully more people can show up in the future. We're just getting started, so yeah, expect the numbers just to be small in the beginning, but that doesn't change the quality of the gameplay. So hopefully we'll see a bunch of really good games here. And so the Mushoku player has played the Roxy that allows the Mushoku player to look at the top and bottom cards of their opponent's deck. The bottom card is not very important unless you, I guess, find a climax at the bottom, so you know that the bottom card is like a cancel or something like that. But usually the top card gives a lot more information. 7 Deadly Sins player cancels with the gate and proceeds to play the runner. Misses on the top check, unfortunately, but I believe because of that, the runner is actually the same power as the Roxy with the brainstorm pump into the center. So player is deciding whether he wants to trade or to direct, and I would definitely trade here because the runner is not very big, so you will definitely even though you still get the run effect on their opponent's turn, because it is a chase runner, not just a center runner, you wouldn't be able to likely run to a favorable trade lane. Therefore, there's really no point in keeping it alive. So it's better just to trade with your opponent, remove a card from both players' field, and so that your opponent doesn't get to untap with a free attacker. Mushoku player takes the 1 damage, or actually no, I believe he cancels here, and then proceeds to brainstorm. Wow, finding a 3 off the brainstorm. I believe he only has 3 characters in the waiting room, so that is going to be quite interesting for the Mushoku player to have to mill through their deck at such an early point in the game. Mushoku doesn't really have that many milling options at level 0. We do have the Eris Fukujiro, which is on death, discard a card to look at the top 4 cards of your deck at a level 1 or higher. That card's actually really good because it can add the pendant event because it is a level 1 or higher card. Mushoku player going to be playing the oh man, what's his name? Rejerd, green Rejerd, clocking a 3/2 Roxy from his hand to search his deck for a card. Now, if he was running the Eris, he would most likely search the Eris at this point, but it looks like he is just sculpting for level 1. I don't think this is a bad play at all, because even though he's out presumably 4 climaxes at this point, it's not likely that his opponent is going to be able to hit him straight to level 2 from 0-3, so he will have a turn at level 1, in which case if he does have the level 1 choice combo in his hand, then getting the 1-0 Rudius is ready. If you can triple combo with the 1-0 Rudius, that is effectively milling 3 cards per Rudius, which is really good and will help you get through the deck very quickly as well. So I think here, since he already has another attacker in the form of the Climax Swap, it does make sense for him to search his level 1 combo here just to set up for next turn. He is most likely going to hit level 1 off of the following attacks, because he basically has at most like 3 climaxes left in his deck, assuming that he has one in his hand for his level 1 combo. So yeah, it's a good idea here to attack 3 times, but also to just really prep your level 1 combo. So 7 Deadly Sins player takes everything here. Not a bad position for 7 Deadly Sins to be in. Has every color he needs at level 1: red, green, yellow. Most likely just playing red cards at level 1 here. The 1-0 Elaine combo is a really strong combo. Allows you to mill through your deck, get a lot of selectivity off the top 4 of your deck. He also has the brainstorm here with 1 stock. He can choose to do that as well. Let's see what he goes for. So he goes for the runner. Gale Thunder Runner here markers a card. So now if he does choose the brainstorm, it will be a brainstorm, effectively a brainstorm 5. He will be able to mill 4 cards in addition to the card that he snuck with the marker. So pretty good increased odds right here if you choose to go for it. And he does go for it, the Brainstorm 5, playing out the Gate Climax as well, which is very important here. Doesn't hit any climaxes, but that's good in its own way, just milling through your deck. First deck is always very important to get through at a reasonable state. He plays the Drop Searcher, does not have stock to do the Drop Search effect, but the Drop Searcher is also an additional soul in the center slot, so would be a great attacker, especially if he doesn't have a climax to play here to push damage. And then on the far right, he plays the 1/0 Meliodas. Now this is a interesting card, I believe. Not a very common pick. I think it is a beater. He chooses to play the choice combo here. Obviously does not climax combo with anything, just to push damage. I think it's a pretty good. Wow, Mushoku player cancels here. That's crazy. He only has like 2 climaxes on his deck now. I think it's actually. Wow, I'm pretty sure the Mushoku player only has 1 climax left in his deck. Remember what I was? Yeah, it's the okay. So yeah, the 7 Deadly Sins player is reminding the Mushoku player that the center Drop Search is actually swing for 3. It does get +1 soul in the center, which is actually huge for the Mushoku player. Now the Mushoku player can safely level up to level 1 and get the Rudius combo online. He was actually going to be stuck at 0-5 there, which is ridiculous considering that he was already out basically 5 climaxes. So this is actually quite lucky for the Mushoku player to have gotten hit to level 1 here, or to 0-6 so that he could clock to level 1. But as I was saying, I think playing the climax there was not a bad choice at all whatsoever, because yeah, the Mushoku player is showing that he's out a ton of climaxes. This is a great chance to potentially do a lot of damage, even with the climax, and especially with the 2 soul beater in the center in the form of the Elizabeth Drop Search. So it just didn't work out because Mushoku player did cancel twice that turn, quite unexpectedly. But now the Mushoku player does have a large deck to get through, and he'll have to figure out some way to kind of just power through that deck right now. So the 1/0 Meliodas on the 7 Deadly Sins player's right hand side, it is Meliodas Unrepentant. During your turn, if you have 2 or more other Britannia characters, this card gets +2000 power. So it sits at a 6000 power on your turn, and when it's placed, you can choose one of your Britannia characters, your other Britannia characters, to get 2000 power. So it itself attacks for 6000, and it pumps another Britannia character 2000 power. So it's really good with on reverse combos, because it allows you to pump them up to get a reverse. So could potentially see play with something like the 2/1 Gil Thunder, which does require a reverse of a Bally opponent in order to get its advantage. So looks like Mushoku player is really thinking through his turn. It is a very difficult turn for him because he needs to mill. So I would not be surprised to see him use the Sophia here to dig through 3 cards off the top of his deck and try to see if he can hit another Rudius combo to continue to mill more. Because I'm pretty sure Mushoku player has at most 2 climaxes, but most likely just 1 climax left in his deck. So he needs to get through that deck as soon as possible so that he can effectively cancel cards and cancel damage. Otherwise, it would be very likely for him to reach level 2 the following turn. Just take a full level damage here. So Mushoku player is asking for powers here. Which is kind of weird because the 7 Deadly Sins board is not very strong. The strongest card on their board is the 4000 beater, the 1/0 Meliodas. It looks like the Mushoku player does not have the climax, so he does potentially have another climax in deck. This will be fronting for the same power. Oh my! Mushoku player triggers a pants. He is down to 0 or 1 climaxes in deck right now. As the choice combo back to his hand, swinging here for 2 damage. 7 Deadly Sins player does cancel. I believe this would be a tie in combat because the Mushoku player does have 5 or more hand, and the Rudius should be reversed here. So we'll see if he remembers. Oh, actually no, the Sophia is a global, I believe, actually. In which case, then yes, the Mushoku player would be larger, and then is able to clear the 7 Deadly Sins player's board and also use the On Death PR Rudius to salvage a card, grabbing another copy of the 1/0 combo. He did salvage the choice climax with the triggered pants, and now he has an extra copy of the 1-0 combo for the following turn. But I would not be surprised if the 7 Deadly Sins player does get a lot of damage in here with one empty slot on the board, as well as a potential climax combo turn here. So now the 7 Deadly Sins plays the Meliodas, gives it power. It is a clean cut effect. Next plays the Mill 2. If you hit, I believe you can give 1500 power? It's either give power or minus power somewhere. It's minus 1000 power to a card on the opponent's stage, so he does give the minus 1000 power to the runner. The runner is now at 2000 power. So judging by these two cards that the 7 Deadly Sins player has played, it does not seem like he has the climax for the climax combo, or if he did, he does not likely have 3 Elaines to use the effect. So right here, yeah, just verifying powers, checking climaxes in waiting room. Seven Deadly Sins player has very low deck left, and he is at 1/6. So I would brainstorm here if I was the 7 Deadly Sins player, just because you want to refresh with the clock compression. Yes, good play here. Brainstorming to just mill down your deck. You hit a climax, which is good, but even if you don't hit here, you mill yourself down to about 3 or 4 cards left in deck. Now you can attack 3 times and then get all that good clock compression into your second deck. If you don't brainstorm here, it's very likely that you will level up before you refresh your deck, which means all the cards in your clock are going back into your waiting room and then going back into your deck, which is a thicker deck for you to have to mill through and potentially take more damage just off the refresh when your deck is the largest and there's the most variance in a large deck. So goes into attack, the runner will run to the center. I guess there was just really nothing that the 7 Deadly Sins players could have really done about that. The runner is going to run. So fronting here, he is going to tie with the Elaine and the Rudius because of the 500 power global from the Sylphiette. Attacking here for 2 damage, does get a trigger. It looks like it will be a side attack and then another direct attack here for 2 + 1 is 3 damage, and Mushoku player does take it all at 1/6 here. Not a bad spot to be in. I did expect the Mushoku player to take roughly a full level, but the fact that the Mushoku player has not completely leveled up is actually hugely beneficial for them, because they can choose to not clock if they do have a good hand, but they do choose to clock here. There was another play there. If the Mushoku player did not clock, you would be able to refresh with that very nice clock compression, as I was saying earlier. Especially since the Mushoku does have the Rudius combo to mill through their deck, so they wouldn't need to clock here to, I guess, get through the rest of their deck. So I am a little bit curious as to why they clocked, but clocking does give advantage, although he is giving up the very potent clock compression that he would have had by not clocking here. But let's see if the cards that he drew are enough to, I guess, make that investment worth it. Yeah, so I mean, everything in Weiss is just a trade-off, right? So you do one thing and you get certain benefits, and you, I guess, assume certain risks when you're using that kind of effect. So Mushoku player does play the 1-0 Magird pendant. I would like to just assume that this pendant was not originally in their hand and was added off the draw, because if the pendant was in their hand originally, then it would definitely make sense for him to just use the pendant, search the 1-0 Rudius, and then use 2 Rudiuses to combo the rest of their deck, and they would still be at 1/6. So that means on the refresh, they would be able to search through their brand new deck and just really have a lot more options to look through. Does decide to do the brainstorm here, pays out the climax in the waiting room, and mills a climax off the brainstorm. So he did not have a climax in his hand this entire time, because that was the last climax in their deck. And we'll be able to salvage one, salvages a Sylphiette, and taking the refresh damage here. Off the new deck, it looks like, I can't really tell from the glare, but he will have 2 Rudius combos here, which is quite good for him. And he did refresh with 6 climaxes going back. Not bad, especially since he does get to do a bit of a mill here. Oh, he's not going to double Rudius combo. Interesting. He is going to play the early play Rudius, With 2 or fewer climaxes in waiting room, it minuses 1 level in hand, and he can choose to discard a card to heal the top card of his clock into the stock, which is the 1/0 Roxy, from what I can tell. So he discards the 1 copy of the 1/0 Roxy to heal the 1/0 Roxy back into the stock. Just a nice 3/1 2-soul attacker that also allows you to heal at the, I guess, the cost of cards in hand, but not a big deal for the Mushoku player here. Mushoku player does play 1 copy of the 1/0 Rudius. I believe he has another one because he did pay 2 to salvage and search another one. So it is kind of strange for me to see that he's not playing over his runner with the 2nd copy of the 1/0 combo in his hand that I'm pretty sure he has, because it's just really good to even though you're minusing 1, you're still getting another top check 3 with the Rudius, which is really good in this situation to just mill through the rest of your deck like a lot. But yeah, choosing not to field the 2nd Rudius, but he will get to Twin Drive here and paying out the climax that he triggered. So, oh wow, Mushoku player definitely triggering a lot of climaxes, almost reminiscent of his opponent playing Sword Art Online in the previous round, triggering a lot that meant that a lot of climaxes leaving the compression of his deck, and meaning that he takes a lot more damage than normal compared to if he did not trigger those climaxes. But the trade-off, of course, with triggering more climaxes is that if your climax has plussing icons, then you do get to plus more, and if your climaxes have soul triggers, you do get to deal more damage to your opponent by virtue of just them taking a higher swing of an attack. So 7th Instance player will level up to 3/2, taking the refresh point, going to 3/3 here. And Mushoku player does have 1 more attack. Now he saved this attack for last, which is not ideal. You want to attack here first while your opponent is still at level 1, so that if they have an anti-change counter, they are not able to use it on your level 3. If you save it for the last attack, it's a good chance that your opponent, if they have the anti-change and are in a position to use it, they will use it on the 3/2, not only just to remove it, but also to blank the damage from the attack. So yeah, always a good thing to keep in mind. Attacking with level 3s while your opponent's still at level 1 is a fantastic kind of insurance for the early plays. 7th Deadly Sins player does get to salvage 1 off their brainstorm, which they hit. Looks like it's a pretty decently compressed fresh deck. They did cancel once and then hit 1 off the brainstorm. So looks like they will have 5 to 6 climaxes left in their deck, assuming that their hand is relatively devoid of climaxes here. So gets to play the early play Elizabeth. This early play condition, I believe, is 2 or fewer climaxes in the waiting room. And on play, you can look at up to the top X cards of your deck, where X is the number of Britannia characters on your board, and add that card to your hand. You do not need to show your opponent. It can add anything, including not just characters, but including events and climaxes as well. So will be a good card to contest the 3/2 early play Rudius, although it is smaller currently if it were to face the Rudius on the side because of the global 500 power from the Sophiet. 7th Instance player now is playing the Clean Cut Meliodas. The Clean Cut will be sitting at 3500 power, which is still smaller than the center runner Rudius. So 7th Instance player needs to find a way to get power on the Clean Cut if he wishes to. Attacks twice. That's curious. So this is a stage in the game where Mushoku player is out a lot of climaxes, and you, as the 7th Instance player, do not have a lot of stock. So you should really look to attack more than just twice, to push damage and kind of even up the damage race, but also just to generate more stock here. So that is kind of interesting that he only attacked twice with like a decent amount of hand. Looks like he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 cards in hand. So it's quite likely that he did have another attacker, and just choosing not to, I guess, extend on the field. But it's usually worth the trade of getting a card, even though you're losing a card from hand, but you're getting the damage on the field. You're also getting the stock that can really make or break your end game. So definitely would not have forgone the last attack there. That was, I wouldn't say it's a misplay based on the game state. It's not favorable, or I guess it's not optimal, but depending on his hand and perhaps his strategy, it may. There are situations where you do not attack 3 times in the mid game. I think a common situation would be if you know there are like 3 climaxes left in your deck and there's like 4 cards, then instead of just triggering and like, I guess, getting a climax that you can't pay out, you could just not attack, have your opponent attack 3 times, you triple cancel. It's like you didn't take any damage and you didn't really give up anything. So in those situations, not attacking is potentially the right play. But I wouldn't really consider this to be one of those situations. This is definitely way too open of a game state, and there's a lot of cards remaining in the deck. So not likely that the next card is a cancel, or that the 7 Deadly Sins player knows that it's a cancel somehow and decides to not attack here. So we'll see if his decision pays off in the long run. Meanwhile, the Mushoku player does more or less get to do what he wants to do. So it does get to check the next cards, the next card and the bottom card, to see if that card truly is a climax or not. But yeah, Mushoku player does clock for the turn, I believe, but really doesn't have to, because he got to untap with 2 characters. That runner has been basically on the field since level 0, the first turn, so it's really quite good for the Mushoku player here, just getting a lot of free advantage, and then being able to use the Migurd Amulet to search their deck to get specific pieces that they need, but also when he levels up, it'll actually double as an additional compression tool, but also an additional search, so it's not a hard minus. Just needs to discard on the first play of the event, but on the second play we'll be able to add the card for free. So Mushoku player looks like he will give up a lane potentially, unless he does move the 3-2 to the center, which I would. Well, the 3-2 on the 7 Deadly Sins side is up by 2,000 power thanks to the Elizabeth back row. Hits on the brainstorm here. Thinking on the salvage. So even with the Global 500 Roxy, the 3-2 early play Aaron will, not Aaron. It's yellow, so I keep thinking it's Aaron, but the 3-2 early play Rudius will not be bigger than the 3-2 early play Elizabeth, so it's likely that he's having the Rudius, I guess, occupy the open lane, so it will not get countered over. Although in this situation, you would definitely not want to attack with the center slot first, because the 7 Deadly Sins player does have the threat of a anti-change counter. And if you front attack the middle slot first and they anti-change your Rudius, not only are you losing the attack and the damage from that attack, but you're also losing the stock that you could have potentially gotten with the Rudius if you attacked with it first. So in this situation, it's always wise to attack with your early play first while you're still at level 2. So, and especially attacking into a direct attack or an open lane or side attacking at level 0 to prevent your opponent from using a counter, and I guess really getting a lot of benefits. Like a counter here would have been pretty big for the 7 Deadly Sins player. Hitting a climax off the brainstorm, very good. Can definitely look to stabilize a little bit. So at this point, yeah, so three or four cards left in deck. 7 Deadly Sins player priority is to safely mill through the rest of his deck without triggering too many climaxes, and just getting into that next refresh with that good clock compression. So 7 Deadly Sins player at level 1 and level 2 has both had really good clock compressions for each level, which I think, even though I think they've been taking more damage than the Mushoku player, that they've been able to keep, I guess, their deck state pretty healthy without having even used the level 1 climax combo, which is very impressive. Definitely a product of good deck building with a lot of cards that mill, and also prioritizing those cards to mill when the situation arises is really good. It's just a really solid play, I think, outside of the 2 attacks, which is still kind of confusing to me. I'm not really sure why this person chose to do that, but everything else seems to make a lot of sense. He's really making the best of a bad situation, considering he did not get their level 1 climax combo, so they are lacking in a lot of hand advantage. Once again, attacking not with the 3-2 first is not a safe attack. I say it's actually quite dangerous here. Luckily, it's not punished, but Mushoku does have an anti-change counter. It is the 2-1 Ghislaine, and it would have been very good here, definitely. Fronting with the Ditch Climax Salvage, spots a gate off the top, looking to salvage. I would expect him to be salvaging something like the 3-2 Meliodas here. So the Mushoku player does level up, and on level up has 2 of the Migurd pendants in memory to resolve, and I believe he is communicating with a judge currently, which is me, about how to resolve the 2 Migurd pendants. And yeah, just reading the Migurd pendant right here, it does say as a cost it must be sent from waiting room or some memory to waiting room, which means that it goes into the waiting room first before the search happens. So the Migurd pendant goes from memory to waiting room, then you search a card in your deck. Now he has 1 card left. The second Migurd pendant goes from memory to waiting room, search the last card in deck, and then we'll refresh. So both Migurd pendants will be going into the refresh. Pretty simple interaction, and it looks like the 7 Deadly Sins player is opting to get a second back row 2-1 Elizabeth. Now this 2-1 Elizabeth is frontal 2000 power to all level 3s, and also gives all the 3-2 Meliodas, which is Meliodas to the rescue, gives it 1000 power and the following 2 effects. This card cannot be chosen by your opponent's effects, or basically hexproof, and during this card's battle, you cannot receive damage by auto effects of your opponent's character. So very good against burn, and especially in this matchup is quite strong because the Roxy, all the Roxy does is just burn. So Mushoku player definitely going to be very wary of that combo, and if I were the Mushoku player, I would definitely look to Roxy combo this turn, while the 7 Deadly Sins player does not have the Meliodas set up, because once the 7 Deadly Sins player gets Meliodas set up, it's very difficult for the Mushoku player to kind of out them at that stage, because the Meliodas are so big, backed by the Elizabeth 2-1 support, which effectively gives 3000 power to Meliodas in front of her, making them quite a gigantic titan in this matchup. Choosing to play the 3-2 Roxy on play draw 2 ditch 1, probably bigging for climaxes is what I would guess they're trying to do at this point. If they do find a climax, it is a pretty opportune time to go for a game winning push, considering that they are already decently high level 3-4. They can't really heal all the way down, so going for a push would be good. But looks like he's committing to a Rudia stock healer, which to me communicates that he does not have the right climax in his hand. Otherwise, I think he would have gone for that. The Roxys do also heal, so it's not like he's totally abandoning his chances of surviving another turn, but it is also just pushing, I guess, damage and pushing, I guess, the game state at the best time. Discards 2 choice climaxes to heal a stock. It's definitely outing a lot of information about how many climaxes he's out and potentially current deck state, so we'll have to watch for that. Don't know if his opponent has been paying attention to the number of climaxes revealed and triggered and all that, but it does look like Mushoku player does not have that many climaxes left in deck, so could be in a very scary situation the next turn. Looking at how thin his waiting room is, this is basically pretty recently refreshed deck. I think maybe a 1 turn difference, so a lot of the variance is still existing in the deck of this high number. So does choose to brainstorm, which I totally agree. When you have a large deck, you just want to start brainstorming to thin it out. Even if you hit climaxes, it's not bad. You get the advantage from the brainstorm, but also you just get a better understanding of what your deck state is currently at and what you need to do for your deck, right? If you just refresh and you have like 40 cards in your deck, then it's kind of hard to like think about what potential sequences and what could potentially be left in deck. But the more you mill, the better picture you have of what's remaining in the deck. Plays another choice, so he discarded 2 choice to heal with stock healer. Brainstorm hit another choice and then just played a choice. He's all out of choices. And he definitely does not have a lot of climaxes left in his deck. So he's out 4 choices. I think there is a pants either in his waiting room or in his stock right now. So he only has roughly 2 or 3 climaxes left in deck. That is not a good position to be in. It's quite scary. But chooses to attack with the stock healer Rudius. Swings for 4 damage. No. Oh yeah, it does. Yeah, swings for 4 damage, and then off of the refresh, we'll take the refresh burn. Unfortunately, it is a climax, so lethal swings from the Mushoku player here. It's looking very scary. Cancels on 1 with the gate. Now just needs to survive this swing for 4. And the trigger is 5. What? Oh, it's another climax. So Mushoku player only has like 2 climaxes max in their deck, but if he hits the cancels on the 3. Very, very fortunate for the 7 Deadly Sins player to cancel there. He needed the cancel, otherwise he was going to be dead. But now the potential of killing the Mushoku player from this position is actually very high, considering that the Mushoku player did brainstorm a climax, discard 2 climaxes to heal, played another climax, and then trigger a climax. So Mushoku player definitely out a bunch of resources here. This is a great time for the 7 Deadly Sins player to just drop a bunch of healers and attackers that attack for 2 soul, perfectly with the climax behind it to further kind of cement the damage. Does play a second Meliodas, very nice. 2 Meliodases. These Meliodases are absolutely gigantic if he has the climax combo. So by themselves, they're 11k. With the Elizabeth back row, they will each be 14, and the climax combo gives another 1000 power until the end of the opponent's turn, which means that on the Mushoku player's turn, these 3/2 Meliodases will be 15,000 power. 15,000. And they cannot be targeted, which means that you can't remove them with any kind of bounce effect, and they also you can't burn in their lanes. 7 Deadly Sins player playing another 2/1 Elizabeth support, giving even more power. The center Meliodas is now currently at 18,000 power. So each of the back row is giving 3,000 or 17,000 power, and with the climax will go up to 19,000 power. So yeah, so each of the back rows is giving 3,000 power to the Meliodas in front and 2,000 power to all of other level 3s in front. So the center Meliodas is getting 6,000 power from the 2 Elizabeths behind him, and another additional 2,000 power from his own passive. So sitting at a whopping 17,000 power, while the other one will be at a 15,000 power. Loses a 2k front, I guess, power boost, but does still get the global 1,000 power that Elizabeth gives to all of those specific 3/2 Meliodases on the field. So just discussing kind of power numbers, these are quite high powers, and with the climax combo they'll go even higher. Cross turn, which is very, very good for a wall-based strategy like 7 Deadly Sins. Currently at the level 3 slot, they are playing this walling Meliodas combo, but we will see with the upcoming set. Perhaps they will get an additional in-game combo for 7 Deadly Sins that could be pretty good. Right now, basically, it's between this one and the blue combo. I was about to say Heathcliff, but his name's not Heathcliff. It does start with an H though. The blue combo, which allows you to burn 4, but also top check a card from your opponent's, I guess the top of your opponent's deck. And if it's a climax, you can mill it. So attacking here for 4 cancels on the 4. So it has canceled 2 attacks here, but does take the 3 here with the Meliodas attack. So now Meliodas does reverse everything and will have 2 opportunities to burn 2. Revenge, or when the opponent attacks into the Meliodas, Meliodas does have the climax combo effect to pay 1, burn 2. It's Hendrickson, that's what it was. Meliodas will be able to pay 1, burn 2, and Mushoku player is at 3/5, which is a precarious state to be in. Oh, does heal down though. Manages to heal down to 3/4. However, I believe there's only 2 climaxes left in deck, which means that he is still in lethal range from one of the Meliodas' burns. So he does get to attack the lane with the giant girl first. Chooses the stock swap here. Interesting. So stock swap 3 cards is not quite effective. So what you're basically doing here, since the 7 Deadly Sins player still has a decent amount of deck, is basically his stock was 3 clean cards, and you have replaced it with 3 random cards from the top of their deck. But those are completely random. They could be clean, they could be climaxes, who knows. What you've effectively done is you've taken the top 3 cards of the 7 Deadly Sins player's deck and moved it to the bottom of the deck, since the player is not going to be able to hit the bottom of the deck this very turn, and you're just basically re-randomizing a random stack. It's not really doing anything effective. Stock swap is really good when you can stock swap a large amount that also forces the player to refresh. The moment they refresh, then the stock swap, I guess the true nature of the stock swap does come to play, because you're putting clean stock into their waiting room and then forcing those clean cards from their waiting room to go back into their deck. That's why stock swap is very powerful when paired back with shuffle back effects like Rusha shuffle back, but also like Fumio, which is why stock swap Fumio as a combo is so strong. But individually, these cards are not that powerful by themselves. Doesn't have the right climax. Oh, that is not good. Did he not have a pants? Oh, I guess when he triggered the pants earlier, he did not have another pants and waiting room to salvage. He would have definitely salvaged that instead. So it does attack with the Sophia here first, which is very smart. Triggers the last pants in deck. I'm pretty sure that's the last climax. So even though the Mushoku player does land this, now is the chance for the 7 Deadly Sins player to pay 1 burn on the attack. I mean, either one, it does not matter whatsoever here. He pays 1, but the Mushoku player will, or 7 Deadly Sins player will be able to pay 1 to burn 2, and I believe that is. Wait, oh, he has 4 cards, but he paid the 1 to Twin Drive. Oh no! No, he paid the 1 to Twin Drive. Oh, the Twin Drive killed him. Oh my goodness, he paid 1 to Twin Drive. Oh, he paid it to pay the climax out, but he Twin Drive, and then he would refresh and then take the refresh damage, and then he would lose the game here. Oh, that's tragic. Oh my goodness. Wow, that was down to the wire. Very close game there. Oh man, that's definitely. I guess 7 Deadly Sins player would have still canceled, but man, that is a very unfortunate ending with the Twin Drive killing the Mushoku player because they were unable to cancel the burn. He goes all out. Yeah, definitely wouldn't have Twin Drive there. He would have at least had a chance to stick the 2 soul swing with the trigger. Also, plus the trigger would have been 3 soul, but wow, that, yeah. I think when it comes down to close situations like that, is definitely a little hard to, I guess, pay attention to this stuff. But nonetheless, well played by both players, and congratulations to the 7 Deadly Sins player for winning the entire tournament, going undefeated 2-0. And that's it for this week's of local feature matches. Hope you guys enjoy this kind of content and this commentary. Please let me know if there's anything that you guys would like to see in the future, or like me to kind of point out. This is like the first time I'm seeing these games as well, so forgive me if I'm not noticing everything. I'm really just reacting live to what I can see. We will be back next week with some more feature matches that from our locals this weekend, so look forward to that. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.